Good evening and welcome to 66360 with your host Matt Ryce, where tonight we're going to be talking about the upcoming racers, call-out, and events. We've got a few call-outs this week as the racing action heats up at the end of the season. We've got Wesley Skinner calling out Blake Kirschbaum at Pandemonium at the airport. John Quick calls out Stephen Edwards at Detroit Hood TV's Pour Your Own Prep. And Murder 88 calls out anyone first pair down this coming weekend at Nutty Money. But first, let's talk about Murder 88 blowing up the motor and how that's going to affect him the rest of this season. Well, I think the proof is in the pudding. I mean, Eddie Grimes was down for maybe 2 weeks before he had the new motor in and was back in the winner's circle. He's proven himself on many surfaces across the country. He knows the truck well. I think it would have been an interesting outcome at No Prep Kings had he not blown up the first round. I really think he had the ability and the speed to go rounds. I feel like he's gotten this program figured out well enough that new motor or not, it's going to do the same thing. He's going to take everybody's money home. He knows what he needs to do. I'm not so sure. We talk about Eddie, blowing up the motor and coming back and taking the W at Beaver Springs, but I just think that Beaver Springs is one of the easier tracks, in my opinion. The surface is not what you're going to get at a Detroit PYOP or a Nutty Money or a Pandemonium, one of these airport events, and I just don't believe that the competition is there. I think he really needs to restore his confidence with some of the upcoming races, and I'm not sure that he's 100% where he wants to be yet. I think it's a valid point, and I think part of the thing that we need to talk about for the rest of the season are the big dogs. Eddie is definitely a top-ranked racer on everybody's list, there's no doubt about it, but we haven't seen him go against folks like Kendall and the Black Bitch, Joey Heichel and the Beater Bomb. Now, with it being this far into the season, I don't know that we're going to get to see those sorts of races, but I know everybody wants to see it, and I think Eddie needs to do it to see where he stands against some of these other top tier racer. I really think it would boost his confidence if he could get some wins against these guys and really concrete his position in the no prep and street racing world. He's a high level racer and he needs that opportunity, and I'm just not sure that breaking the motor this late in the season is going to afford him that opportunity this year. An interesting take on how the new motor is going to affect the season. One of the big challenges is going to be right up front, as Murder 88 put the call out to anybody off the trailer first pair down for Nutty Money. Blake Kirschbaum responded and said he will be the man for the challenge. Who do you think is going to take home the W? I think Eddie's going to take this race hands down. He knows Nutty Money. He's won Nutty Money. He knows the surface. He knows the truck, the tune, what it takes. Blake is a strong competitor, but usually see him in the big tire categories, and not so sure how well he's going to do on the small tire. I think the experience alone of racing and winning at Nutty Money is going to be enough to give Eddie the win. I'm going to have to go with Blake on this one. The man is proven fast. He has a car. He absolutely has the power. There's no doubt about it. When talking about racing more of the top tier fast guys, Blake is definitely one of them. I think that bringing the power in when he needs to is going to be the advantage that he has over Eddie, because he's just got more of it. So I'm going to have to take Blake in this one. I'm going to have to take Eddie on this one, and here's why. It's going to come down to the surface. Eddie knows it. Eddie knows his truck. He's been there. He hasn't been there in the cold, but I don't think that the cold is going to be that much of an effect on what his game plan is going to be. He knows the truck, what it wants. He's ready to take home the money, and I think the advantage of the first pair down is going to play more into Eddie's favor than it's going to play into Blake's. So I'm going to have to take Eddie in the first round. And that's it. We've got our votes for the race this weekend, and you've got to wonder, with the upcoming changes to the classes in 2020, is Eddie have that on his mind? Is he in a cash grab right now to just win all of the races he can, or is he trying out some new techniques for the 2020 season to see what he's got up his sleeve? Next up, we're going to be talking about Wesley Skinner and his recent call out at Blake Kirschbaum at Pandemonium at the airport. What do you guys think? I think the Pandemonium event is one of the worst surfaces you're going to see this year. Wesley knows that surface, and as somebody who's raced and won there, I definitely see him with the home field advantage. If it happens to happen and the race goes down, I'm going to have to take Wes over Blake. There's no question where the home field advantage is here. But Blake is a seasoned racer. He's had that car down many surfaces, and on big tires, he's a force to be reckoned with. In a race where there's a flashlight start, I feel he has the ability to nail the tree and really get out there. Gonna have to take Blake on this one over Wes, because I think that he may have the faster car that day. You know, it's no secret that Wes is a winner. You know, between different street races, airport races, no prep races, he's definitely been cleaning up. And I think the all-around ability of him and that car, he should have no problem being able to take Blake down if they manage to get that race set up. Now, I know Wes is not a big money racer, so I'm really curious what it's going to take to get Blake to come out there to that event. But I think that if he does come out there and accept the challenge, that Wes is going to be able to take him down right off the trailer. Absolutely. It looks like it's going to be one hell of a time over there. And I know that Wes is looking to put on a show for the fans. We know that him and Tommy Reek are 1-1 this year. And I think that's going to be an interesting matchup to see if the chips fall that way. Now, news out of Detroit is John Quick calls out Steven Edwards at Detroit Hood TV's Pour Your Own Prep for 3 on 15 or better. What's your take? John Quick is a fast guy. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And there's no doubt that he has the home field advantage. He's been to several of the Detroit Hood TV Pour Your Own Prep races back there. He's raced the back half of the track at Milan multiple times. It's another surface that isn't exactly the best and is a tuner's game, but I think John Quick's experience on that surface as well as on the street is what's going to lead him to victory. You know, it's definitely a tuner's game with a surface like Milan at the back half. But I think what everybody forgets is that John didn't call out a slouch here. Steven has what it takes. He's got the fast car, truck, Mustang looking thing, El Camino, whatever you want to call it. It's a Mustang, but it's a Mustang, and they do very well. I've seen time and time again how nitrous racers fare in this kind of event, and I think my choice is going to be more on the power adder than the actual racer themselves. I think nitrous has a better chance of getting down successfully in the first round, so I'm going to have to go with the nitrous car for the win. You know, I'm really going to have to go with John Quick on this one. He knows what's going on. He's been down the street, the track. He's familiar with Milan. It'd be interesting to see if they change the starting line position at Milan, as I know they do that from time to time, and see how that affects his gameplay and what he wants to do. I know they've got a no-nonsense flagger over there. It should be a nice, clean race, and I think that John is going to go ahead and pull away with the W. He's got the experience. He knows the place. He knows the flagger. He's familiar with it. Well, there you have it, folks. A ton of great racing action this weekend. I know we're personally going to be in Detroit and Ohio catching it live. I know there's going to be a lot of side bets and action on the Eddie Blake race over at Nutty Money. We may join into that part ourselves. Join us next week as we talk about the No Prep Kings finals, Ohio racing action, and we spin the wheel of Eric Mans. Thank you and good night.